What if I told you that the Underground Railroad didn't just go north, but went south of the border? And what if I told you that the Rio Grande wasn't just a border, but it was the last chance for thousands of enslaved people to escape into Mexico, where slavery was outlawed? So in 1853, a man named Josiah, breathless, bleeding, and running for his life, a former slave from Texas, he wasn't just running from his master though, he was running towards something bigger. First, that water, just a few hundred yards away, Mexico. A land where slavery was outlawed in 1829. And for thousands of enslaved people in Texas, it became their promised land. A land where Josiah could become a man, not property. But the river? It was wide, cold, unforgiving. And the men chasing him? They weren't going to let him reach that shore alive. Josiah knew one thing though, he didn't come this far to be dragged back into chains. So he did what hundreds before him had done. He dove in. The slave catchers shouted, "Come back here, boy!" Gun fired. The river swallowed the sound. Can you imagine what that must have felt like? I mean, think about it. To fight against the river, knowing freedom is on the other side with bullets coming at you. To know that if you make it, you live as a free man. But if you fail, you die as a slave. He made it. And like so many others before him, Josiah found a new life in Mexico, working the land, raising a family, and living in a place that refused to see him as property. Don't forget that. Most people don't know this, but the Rio Grande wasn't just a border. It was a last chance for thousands of enslaved people. And Mexico? Well, Mexico was their Underground Railroad. We talk about the Underground Railroad leading north, but we forget that for so many, salvation was in the south. And those waters, well, they carried the weight of history. See, here's the thing, history isn't always what they teach you in school, and we've learned this. The fight for freedom was bigger than one nation. It was about the people who refused to accept their chains. If this story moves you, share it. Keep our history.
When black people came escaping into the south of Guerrero and the north of Oaxaca, the indigenous people occupying all of that region, let them be free, let them settle down. There are towns where are mostly black people living in there, and towns like my hometown that used to be an indigenous town and became a mixed town. Today, the old Costa Chica in Guerrero is the darkest part of Mexico. Is where the traditions were preserved, the music was intact, and our food flourished. And we ourselves as a community thrived and grew and established new things that are purely Afro-Mexican.
In 1852, a group of African-American slaves fled to Mexico. They're known as the Mascogos. After the forced relocation of indigenous Seminole people in Florida, Seminole Chief Wildcat, along with Seminole Chief John Horse, fled to El Nacimiento, Mexico. When they got there, they encountered a lot of difficulties, like smallpox, and it did make some people go back. But the ones that did stay established a thriving culture that lives on even till today. And in 2017, the governor of Coahuila signed a decree recognizing the Mascogos. And even today, the Mascogos still celebrate Juneteenth and sing African-American hymns, even though their first language is no longer English.
I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
People forget that the Spanish colonial system was literally codified in paintings. This is how they depicted race. There were 16 or more races in colonial Spain, or Mexico in the American Southwest. The top were white people, and all the white people had different names depending on their mixture. In the middle are indigenous people, which is right here in the middle. And then down here are black people or West African people that they brought during slavery. So this shows you that these are the three different groups that created the colonial system of Mexico. So the people who are denying that black people were part of the cowboy culture, vaquero culture, literally right here, they are part of the culture. In the middle, indigenous people were in the middle. They had better treatment than black people, and the white people were at the top. Spanish inherited the system from the Moors, and in 1491, that's when they defeated the Moors, and in 1492 is when they came to, but This is their system. This is how they codified their system to say, oh, if you're mixed with this and this and that, this is what you are. And so the goal was, it was like a game or something. The goal was, how do you get to whiteness? And this is how you did it. The colonial system of Mexico or Nueva España, was very different from the British one. And so people that are denying certain things about Black Mexicans, well, the evidence is in the paintings, literally. Really important to understand these really, really nuanced things about the Spanish system.
These are the sights and sounds of El Día de los Negros, or Day of the Blacks, celebrated on Juneteenth in a town called Nacimiento de los Negros in Coahuila, Mexico.
My name is Ashley Rodriguez, and I'm a descendant of the Black Seminole Indian. My first time actually going to Nacimiento, I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old. And then from then on, we'll kind of make trips periodically down to Nacimiento to celebrate Juneteenth. Nobody really knows about the Mexican side of it.
Nacimiento de los Negros, which translates to birthplace of the Blacks, is the town where the Black Seminoles, or Negros Mascogos, settled in 1849, just a few hours south of the Texas border. They are descended from slaves who escaped to Florida and later made their way down to Mexico.
We're talking about the 18th century, more or less. When they got to Florida, they mixed culturally with the Indian Seminoles, and they became the Black Seminoles. They were removed during the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma, which was then the Indian Territory.
So once they got to Oklahoma, where they told them that they would be free and have land, they realized that it wasn't true, it was a lie, and they can come and take them anytime they wanted to, the masters. So they decided, they had to leave.
So it was a very harsh, terrible journey that our people had to go through to get to freedom. They didn't allow them freedom there in Oklahoma. And John, Horse, and Wildcat, they heard, that there's a place in Mexico that they could go to, that they could be free.
Mexico needed to hire people to defend the border from the possibility of more U.S. invasion. So what happened with the Black Seminoles is that they managed to negotiate a deal with the Mexican state in exchange for land and citizenship.
Karina and Dina grew up knowing little about their heritage, but are now dedicated to preserving their stories.
We knew that my grandfather on my mom and my dad's side, they were both Black Seminoles, so we didn't know anything else. That's what we're working with, my cousins and I, on, teaching the history and preserving, the traditions.
Thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Allah will be thy name.
One of our cousins, Bertha Benson, did a YouTube video for Siska, and it was talking about how the Seminole language was a lost language. And I didn't want that language to be lost, because that's part of my history, that's part of my family. So that's when I started to research more and learn about my history.
Part of remembering their traditions is traveling to Nacimiento every year on Juneteenth to celebrate with the town.
We have June 19 in Mexico, but we didn't know it as June 19. We knew it as El Baile de los Negros, El Día del Negro. We take food, drinks, because that's mainly what it is. It's like a big party, like a big family reunion.
Celebrating Juneteenth, it's more how I perceive it. It's with my ancestors freeing themselves from slavery, unlike with the American government being the ones to initiate it. It means so much to me. It means that for one, I am also a unique individual that comes from such a rich history that is so unknown. With the recent events that have happened here within the past years, with, of course, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and all of that, I feel that I'm also a part of that community. Since we are descendants of African descent, we also tie into that as well.
Sí. Raza negra. Sí. Él no hablaba mucho, dice mi mamá que le daba mucha tristeza hablar de todo lo que él vivió.
Ok, señora, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, gracias a Dios, sí.
¿Y cuál es tu nombre?
Sosima Virgen.
¿Y dónde nació?
Aquí en Mata Clara.
¿Tu familia cuántas generaciones aquí?
Pues nosotros hermanos éramos 10.
Oh, 10 hermanos.
10 hermanos. Y ya ahorita ya nomás quedo yo y la vecina.
¿Y tu hermana?
Ajá.
¿Y cuántos años tienes?
Ando en 90.
Oh, 90.
Ajá.
¿Usted es la persona que guarda de todo historia?
Pues sí. Como mire, aquí le voy a enseñar. Como esta mujer es de aquí, estas personas no son de aquí, mire. Vaya, son de aquí
de
pero
Mataclara.
de otras rancherías.
Ok.
Todos estos no son de aquí de Mataclara. Estos sí son de aquí de Mataclara, estos.
Ok. Ok, ellos es de Mataclara. Ok.
Sí, este señor también no es de aquí.
Ok.
Mire, aquí estoy yo con mis nietos.
¿Tus nietos?
Ajá.
Ah.
El Ángel.
Sí.
Este es Omar. Este es Chuy. Y este es Alberto.
Ok.
Y aquí estoy yo.
Sí.
Sí.
Entonces, tiene 10 hijos. ¿Y cuántos nietos?
Son creo que 23.
23.
Y mis nietos son 11.
Señor Peña.
Ella es hija de mi hermana, esta que está aquí. Ella es hija de mi hermana, la que está más allá de donde yo estoy. Y ella es hija de él.
Y cada generación es más mezcla.
Más mezcla.
Y parece nadie mezcla con otro moreno.
No. Él es hijo de mi hermano. Ella es mi esposa.
Ah, ella es tu esposa.
Sí.
Ella es blanca, blanca.
Sí. Ellos eran los papás de mi papá.
Y ellos también es de Mataclara.
Bueno, mi abuela vino
De Puebla, el estado de Puebla.
Tu mamá.
Mi papá.
¿Ma?
Ellos son los papás de mi mamá.
Y él es tu
Mi abuelo.
de Martinique.
Ya.
¿El nombre?
Hilario.
Hilario.
Virgen.
Hilario.
Él fue el que hizo la pintura.
¿Y por qué dice él?
El último. El último, porque es. Ahora sí que. Pues prácticamente para nosotros fue el último que conocimos nosotros de su descendencia de él. Pues no tengo idea cuántas personas. Nomás hasta nietos, ¿verdad, ma? Nomás hasta nietos lo conocimos a mi abuelo.
Ajá.
Sí, ya mis nietos ya no. Porque, ¿cuántos años tiene que falleció, ma?
Ya tiene.
40 y algo.
Ajá.
Sí, que pues yo tenía 11 años, creo, cuando falleció. Sí, 44 años tiene que falleció.
Wow. Pero él es la primera persona de Mataclara.
No. Él no nació aquí, ¿verdad, ma?
Sí, tu abuelo sí, porque.
Pero, ¿de dónde lo trajo el bisabuelo?
Su papá de él fue el que vino así en la leva esa que decían, encadenados y eso. Pero aquí se regaron, ¿no? Todos los que traían. Y mi abuelo quedó aquí y luego se buscó una de aquí y fue cuando nació mi papá.
También él nació aquí.
Sí, nació aquí.
¿Y papá de él?
Él sí lo trajeron.
De Martinique. Y entonces, de Martinique, pero todo casado con personas de aquí. Nada de mujer Martinique o
porque
otra persona.
En ese tiempo traían puros hombres, esclavos.
Espera, pero ¿padre de él es esclavo o...?
Sí. Pero él no.
Él no.
Pero su papá sí.
Wow. Ok, espera. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 generaciones y es un esclavo. ¿Y trabaja primero esclavo? ¿A qué trabajas?
A lo que sea.
Pero en Mataclara.
No, aquí, lo que era la región, ¿verdad?
Entonces todo partes de aquí. Wow.
Pero a nosotros sí nos tocó, mi mamá, el tabaco. Sembrábamos
Pero hasta 30 años, nada.
Ya no.
¿Y qué cultive aquí en este momento?
Ahorita ya nada, pero lo que más se cultiva es la caña de azúcar. Yo tenía muchos problemas cuando yo salía a jugar. Sí, porque pensaban que era yo de otro lugar.
¿Como cubano?
Centroamericano, principalmente.
Honduras, ¿como Honduras? Ah, y dice, ¿dónde hay tus papeles?
Ajá, y tenía que enseñar mis papeles.
¿Y qué dice?
No, pues sí, sí eres mexicano. Incluso cuando pasaba yo para Estados Unidos también me querían mandar para otro país.
¿Y qué dices? No, estoy de México.
Pero pues como le hacen preguntas a uno, y pues uno contesta correctamente. Principalmente preguntan que cuál es el presidente actual.
En Mata Clara, cada año es menos personas. La población es bajo, no existen muchos hijos.
No, ya no. Y pues ahora sí que las generaciones grandes ya se están acabando.
Sí, porque ahora parece la mayoría de personas es más de 50.
Sí.
Más de 50. ¿Y cuál es el futuro para aquí?
Pues no sé, a lo mejor va a llegar gente de fuera, porque de aquí ya no. Porque la mayoría de mis hermanos tienen 2, 3 hijos, no más.
¿Y usted tiene 10 hermanos?
Pero pues antes eran de 5 para adelante.
¿Cuántos años no personas parecen físicamente moreno?
Yo pienso que unos 30 años ya no hay, ¿verdad? De la raza de nosotros.
¿Tu hermana?
De mi hermana.
¿Cómo está, señora?
El negro se sigue mezclando con su raza y aquí no. Aquí nosotros ya estamos cambiando. Por eso se está perdiendo.
De sangre, sí.
Porque como le digo, se está uno mezclando con...
Pues sí, porque no sigue uno con el mismo tipo.
Sí.
Se va uno ya en otro tipo. Y ahí es el cambio.
Sí, porque mi hermana...
The reason why black people and Mexicans interacted and started taking from each other was because they live in the close. Now Mexicans took the zoot suit from the blacks, but they also changed it. You know, they made it more garish and made it more, you know, they added a Mexicanism to it. But they took from the Harlem style that eventually became everybody's style, you know. And so the same thing with lowrider culture. I tell people, yeah, it's black and brown. I mean, Mexicans really developed the whole lowrider culture, but black people are right there. They started their own lowrider clubs. And they were eliminating from each other. I know the music was very black, and the Pachucos went right into that boogie woogie and all that music. They got into it, but then they started changing it and made it their own Spanish language style and everything else. There was always this connection.